Right, so there we go, 8 o'clock, believe it or not, another day. Another day, another lockdown, another fantastic Wisdom's Tribe session. So good morning, everybody. Welcome on board again. And really not sure what we've got in store this morning, but as you saw, Lee, or hopefully you saw, Lee sent us a whole bunch of emojis yesterday. So Lee, maybe you want to tell us what that's all about and take it away.
Thanks, Ivan. Hi, everyone. I was reflecting on the beginning of the year, and I think I might have mentioned in a previous conversation where I read that the IMF had predicted that the world economic growth would be around about 3.3%. And when we held our boot camp at the beginning of the year, we asked this question. So what are your feelings about the year ahead? And 2020 just had this ring about it. And we just saw it as this monumental year of opportunity. And what we did is we had a screen up and had little GIFs. And you could vote for what feeling you had about the year. And you had Brad Pitt going, yay, this year is going to be amazing. And you had somebody else who was awful. And then you said, So, and then different people voted. And of course, everybody said, no, this year is going to be amazing. It's going to be the best year ever. We've come through a dip and now this is our time. And of course, we just come off the back of 2019, which was the year of South Africa. We had just won just about every world champ there could possibly be in the world, and South Africa was riding high. and we've been hit by a world pandemic, which only it seems Bill Gates knew about. So, and I don't mean that in any conspiracy theory type way. and just made me self-reflecting on the beginning of the year and where we are now, and also this aspect of mindset, and where do we put our minds in order to go forward, and how do we do that? And I thought just to start with this very, very simple slide, which Trevor put together a long time ago, and he had it under the banner of Simplify. And I wanted to kind of combine those two things. Is how do we keep it simple? How do we keep things in the realm of what we can manage, and the 1, 2, 3. That's where the 1, 2, 3 comes. If you've seen Wisdoms, we always do Wisdoms 1, 2, 3. It's not because there was another Wisdoms in the world and we had to add 1, 2, 3 to differentiate ourselves. It's because it's as simple as 1, 2, 3. So that's my question to us this morning. What 1, 2, 3 things are you feeling? Let's start with feelings about the year ahead. And then what are the 1, 2, 3 things we can do to put ourselves in the place where we have the energy, the motivation to take initiative and make things happen that's going to be positive and worthwhile for ourselves and our community and our country.
Great, thanks, Lee. Who'd like to kick off this morning? Herman, go for it.
I think 2020 is still a very amazing year because it's put us into a situation that is so unique, which nobody of us, I think, has ever really faced. And it is also, that is a strong feeling I have, an ideal opportunity, because we know a lot of things we have been doing are not working. I mean, we are reducing results in many, many aspects of our lives, which really nobody wants. If you look at the damage we do to nature, etc., etc. So for me, it's an opportunity to reflect and to really rethink what we should be doing differently. Thank you.
Great, thanks, Herman. Ian, your thoughts?
Yeah, we use the word mindset, and 1, 2, 3 for me is just back to basics. If you have a clear understanding of what you want to achieve, and I think this is a time for people reflection, and for me it's been a 180-degree turn in terms of the way I want to approach going forward, then it's a matter of 1, 2, 3. What are the simple things, 3 simple things that I need to do to start that process? And Stella and I were actually having a conversation yesterday. We were talking about motivation and the fact you can't motivate people because you have no control over the way people think. What you can do is create an environment for people to create their own motivation, whatever that happens to be. If people aren't motivated, then it's taking that horse to the water. But if he doesn't want to drink, well, there's nothing you can do about it. So for me, it's a clear understanding of what you want to do. It may be complete 180-degree turn from where you are now, or it might be refining your particular business to make it now post-coronavirus strength and stability, whatever it happens to be. This is a great time. For me, it's been a wonderful time. I think I've just done things that we always say we're going to do, but we never get to do them because we're busy. So, I think one has to be optimistic, of course, but you have to be cautiously optimistic in terms of understanding what it is you want to do and creating your own mindset. Because once you've got your mindset right, it's a matter of literally the 3 steps that I have to do, or the 4 steps I have to do in order to get there.
Great, thanks, Ian. I'd like to pop across to Cecile, because Cecile used the word "do" a lot yesterday in her little chat. So, Cecile, what are your thoughts?
I was also thinking that 1, 2, 3, almost like when we count down to something, say 3, 2, 1, go. So you need to be ready to start the year. But Ian said a lot of the things that I was actually thinking of, which is good. What word did you say that I use a lot yesterday?
You were always talking about doing things. You just did it. You just went and did it. You did that.
Okay.
That seemed to be the dominating theme of your story, which was fantastic. You're a real not a procrastinator or a thinker or a. Well, I'm not saying you don't think, but I think you just get on and do whatever you feel is necessary.
Okay, now I actually didn't realize that. So when the recording's available, I'll listen to the recording and hear what I actually said. When you talk exactly what you were saying now, you don't think, you just do. So I'll do that. Same, my thoughts about the year, kind of, well, exactly that. I don't overthink things. I try and do them. I try, and if I dither, then I think to myself, oh, stop dithering and just start doing. Stop with, or if I feel anxious or anything about the year or about anything else, then I think, okay, the only counter for that is to just actually do something. Because sitting overthinking something is, you are creating problems even before they are there.
Okay, great. Thanks, Cecile. And then just to note, the recording is up on the YouTube channel. So if you guys, I try and get those out during the course of the morning after the session, so they upload it every day. Right, Steve, your thoughts?
Thanks, Simon. If I think about the things that I'm feeling, I would say the first thing is resignation, and the second would be hope. And what I mean by that is, one of the modalities I use when I work with clients is the existential psychology of Viktor Frankl. And he teaches that meaning is found by facing the reality of life, the situations that you face that cannot be changed, and your choice in the face of those. And I think that one of the gifts that we've been given globally through this pandemic is a reminder that we're not completely in control of this world. And sometimes I think the word motivation can just be a way of fooling ourselves into a sort of a positivistic approach towards reality, where we'd actually like to reorder it in a way that would suit ourselves. And I think one of the hard realities of life is that we're not always able to do that. So I think motivation is fantastic and mindset is really helpful. But if we're not facing reality, then we're fooling ourselves. And so that's what I mean by resignation. I think there are things that the sooner we move towards acceptance of a situation, the sooner we're able to reorder our thinking towards what we are actually able to control, and we stop wasting energy on the things that we're not able to control. If I look at some of the responses in South Africa to the lockdown at the moment, a lot of that has been very similar to the sort of the patterns of grief going around. The immediate thing is denial and then anger. And I see people in our own complex running around with their middle finger up in the park towards the government because no one's going to tell them that they're not allowed to go out during this lockdown. But I think the sooner that you accept that, the sooner you're able to make peace with that, the sooner you can move on to more helpful choices and direct your energy in a good direction. So yeah, I think that those are my feelings. I'm feeling resigned towards some of our fate, which I think just is what it is. But then I'm hopeful that out of that, we will be able to make good choices. And hopefully I will be able to make good choices faced with things that I'm unable to change and to move forward. And if that makes sense.
Great, Steve. Yeah, absolutely. Thanks for that. I think some nice perspectives there. Tsela, your thoughts?
That microphone, there's the mic. Morning, everybody. Steve has said a mouthful. I really enjoy that opinion from him, and it really makes sense to me. And for me, really, the thing that has shifted is the focus on routines. So it's more focus on short term more than long term. So that's what the situation kind of brought for me, to be rather specific. Yes, I still have long term goals, but now I'm really more focused on why did I get into this business in the first way? Why am I doing things in this way? Why am I in that relationship? I think the thinking has become a little bit more, like Ian was saying, things are a bit more concentrated and a bit more focused and a bit more direct now. And it's really more of a shorter term for me. It's more focused on short term. What am I doing with my routines now? What's important to me today? It's no longer what's important to me in 10 years. Oh, I wish to have achieved that in 10 years. It kind of just forced us to look a little bit closer and a little bit more present. Well, what's going to happen today? What are we going to eat with my wife today? What are we going to do today? What are the actions that we're going to get up to? That's how I'm feeling about it. That's how, we are thinking even the years now that will come. This situation has forced us to be a little bit more present, pause a little bit and focus a little bit more.
Great, thanks, Tsela. Yeah, I would tend to agree with that. I think it's generated a sense of urgency in many ways, of really sharpening one's thinking and looking at those things that really matter. Steve said, what's really important to me, what I have control of, what I don't have control of, and can I put some emphasis on those things, so they back to the urgency element is where my thinking comes in. Yeah, great, thanks. Grant, your thoughts?
Morning all. So this, besides for there being a horrible disease in the world, hasn't changed my life all that much. I work from home most of the time, and I'm constantly finding myself running down the road to the end of money anyway, and building the road faster than I'm approaching the end of it. That's been my life. So for me, a word called anti-fragility, which is Professor Taleb, who came up with Black Swans, came up with. I'm testing that at the moment because I believe that I am anti-fragile, which is I get stronger when there are hard times. So I don't just survive hard times; I actually get stronger during these times. So my world is writing robots for stock markets and forex markets, and it is proving to be anti-fragile as well. So I am. I'm actually not. I can't say I'm happy. I'm happy to be testing my anti-fragility at this time. I can't say I'm happy that this is happening to other people. And funnily enough, being isolated like I am, I'm a little out of touch with how bad it is for other people, because the people I speak to, I haven't spoken to anybody who's sick yet. I haven't spoken to anybody who's lost someone really close yet. I see it on the TV, but I'm still a little bit numb to what it actually means. Things that I'm doing at the moment, fitness. I've been fit before. I was fit before the corona. I'm just ridiculously fit now. It's quite lekker. I got my wife on there as well. When it comes to the sickness, my idea was to get sick first before the hospitals took strain. Now I want to get sick last when they actually know what to do with this thing. So that's kind of my thoughts at the moment. Thanks.
Thanks, Grant. Trevor, your thoughts?
Right, I'm just trying to keep my head down to 1, 2, 3 because I always have a multitude of thoughts, which Ian will refute every day, I'm sure. And my simple thoughts go back to that Doozy Rapid, that Devil's Island Rapid. And, you know, at 65 years of age, and Herman will buy into this thing at his 82. I've seen many of these rapids come through. And when you're in the middle of them in that picture, and thank you very much, Cecile, you made me go and rewrite that story, but I couldn't stay serious about it. I took a humorous approach to it. My thought is that when the world is in a maelstrom and you're in a maelstrom, you actually have to sit back and relax. But there's a contradiction in that relaxing in the middle of floodwaters. You also have to paddle way faster than the floodwaters. So you actually, in your relaxing, you have to be way more effective with your time than you ever were before. So I think your time concertina's down into a fraction of a millisecond, and you have to have this approach of getting way more out of your time. I was interested in Steve's choice of the word resignation. I will never sit back in resignation, as I understand the word, to anything. What I will do is sit back and relax, ponder, think, and then start taking steps where I can be in total control of the way that I respond to whatever outside events are actually happening to me. And I think in that reading of Steve's resignation, I think I tie in with him where he says, respect the reality of the situation and don't just sit back and live in a dream world. You actually have to do something positive to move yourself out of whatever the current situation that may affect you from outside influences.
Right, thanks, Trevor. Yes, Ian.
Yeah, just picking up on what Trevor just said, and I think from Steve's point of view, if you read Eckhart Tolle's book, The Power of Now, he talks about acceptance, which is a word that Steve used as well. So resignation is used in the context of acceptance. The fact there are some things that you have no control of. We have no control of this coronavirus, but what we do have control of is the way we react to it and what we do in terms of paddling faster and having to do what we needed to get through. So acceptance is, a lot of people are complaining, people are watching the news, people are getting so upset about it. As Steve says, walking around with their middle finger up, in defiance, and that's going to solve the problem. Well, in fact, just makes things worse because your mindset just changes completely. You get worse and worse, and you go deeper and deeper into it. So I think that Steve's resignation stroke acceptance, I think, is critical. And I think if you've got that mindset to say, well, look, it is what it is, as Grant says, maybe getting sick first wasn't such a good idea. Because we we don't know how we're going to manage in South Africa if things get out of control. Hopefully they don't. But and what Sella was saying is take that acceptance and say, right, let's do the power of now, because the only thing I've got at the moment is now. So what can I do now that's going to get me forward, the 1, 2, 3 steps that are going to get me to where I need to be.
Right, thanks, Ian. Lee, what's your 1, 2, 3?
Yeah, I think it is that it is a strange calm that you sit in when you, and it's a combination, I think, of being isolated, even though you might be, as Grant says, I identify with that, is that the actual reality is at a distance in many ways. It's not, I'm sitting here in a very privileged and comfortable position in the suburbs with a big house and my family all around me. So so the immediate experience is not one of the struggle. So there is that sort of slight, am I in denial? But it's also what Trevor's talking about, is a kind of calm, is there are things that I'm not in control of this flood. I'm not in control of where it's going. You know, Steve was talking about not being in control. And then that means that I need to relax. I have to relax. And I am in that place, I think, of just calmly looking to see, but that doesn't mean that I'm inactive. I'm definitely paddling. So I think that's where I am from a mental point of view. I'm very proud of some people, and I don't mean it in a very, can sometimes sound patronizing to use that word proud, but I'm proud of my daughter who's in the theater and has her work. She had work, you know, when you're in the theater, work is hard to come by from the get-go. But she put herself in a position where she had worked for the entire year. And when you're gigging, you know, that is pretty amazing. And her year, the rug has just been pulled out from underneath her. So nothing is working the way it was supposed to. But she had started a couple of years, or no, maybe a year ago, it started a digital platform called Plug-in Theatre, where they wanted to bring all the theatre information into one place in South Africa, and then they would sell tickets from that. Well, they've now started a digital festival where they run a crowdfunding page. And yesterday they ran an Instagram live concert to raise funds for that. And it went exceptionally well. And so you see people taking initiative, you see people doing things differently, you see people changing course. I'll tell you another story that really resonated with me, and that is my oldest daughter's friend owns 86 Public, and they have it's a pub restaurant for those of you who don't know. And he has 4 of these restaurants, which of course, again, everything's shut, everything's done. And the cash flow is the biggest issue, and how to pay staff who don't have access to tips anymore, or even to the salary that he was able to give to them. And so he did a fundraiser, and he ran 90 kilometers barefoot along a carpeted passage in his house for 12 hours. And he raised 100,000 Rand to pay his staff. I mean, really? So it comes back to the phrase that I think sums up, you know, what Steve was saying, and Trevor, and just it brings everything together. Herman was saying the same. Henry Cloud's definition of character is the ability to meet the demands of reality. And that resonates with me the whole time, the ability to meet the demands of reality. And I think in South Africa, we here in this group, maybe just talk to this group, it's about our character. That is actually what is being pulled out of us at this time.
Great, thanks, Lee. Yeah, you know, it's interesting that that phrase you just used, that saying, you know, reality. What is reality? And I think reality for different people is different things because of their mindset. You know, exactly what Steve was saying and Trevor was saying. You know, if your reality is this is a disaster and you know there's no way out and things are falling apart, that's your reality. And what does that say about your character? What does it say about your mindset? But if your approach to it is completely different, and you're looking at it as an opportunity, as everybody said, I think, you know, what do I change? How do I change? What do I need to change from a proactive, positive point of view, rather than running around believing in the doom and gloom side of things? I think it makes a massive difference to what you do next, you know, and how you're going to do it. So yeah, it's a very interesting thing that I've looked at quite a lot. Is what is reality? Is there a reality, or is there only your reality? And for me, I'm coming down to that. I think for me, I think it's quite simple. You have a reality, and that reality is different to everybody else's reality. So there's no such thing really as a cohesive, comprehensive reality. It's very much an individual thing, I believe, anyway. So that's my thought on on that one. Right, Herman, yes.
I think there's a collective reality as well. And I think in a circle that operates under the headline of wisdom and wisdom sheds, I think we need to really seriously consider that we also sit on a social time bomb. There are millions of people who are not receiving any food at the moment. For example, last week on the occasion of the after lunchtime program, I phoned into 702 and I said, guys, why don't we encourage the supermarkets and all the food chains to put out boxes so that when we could do our shopping, can buy something a little bit more and throw it into those boxes. They thought it a good idea. And some people, when I also put it out on Facebook, kind of raised, yeah, our supermarket has trolleys out to do that. But when I did my shopping a couple of days ago, to all the supermarkets I went, there was nothing. Now, this is, I'm not trying to be a painter in black, so to speak, but let's not forget, we sit on a social time bomb, yet at the same token, I believe collectively, we can do something about it. Thanks.
Right, thanks, Herman. Right, I think we're heading towards the bottom of the hour, so I'd just like to take a quick whip around for final comments from everybody, and then I think we'll end off for today. Let's start with you, Ian.
Yeah, thanks. Picking up on what you were saying about reality, it's like beliefs. You know, we all have our own beliefs. I mean, for those of you that still believe in Father Christmas, please switch off now. But, you know, we all believed in Father Christmas until that earth-shattering day when our parents told us that, in fact, there wasn't such a thing. Trevor, I knew you would do that. Shame, poor guy, he still believes in Father Christmas. But, you know, it's a very special day for him, as is Easter Bunny. But that's the same thing. It's beliefs, but our beliefs can change. And our beliefs change when we're actually subjected to other information that allows us to look at things differently.
Great, thanks, Ian. Grant, thoughts from you?
Yeah, I'm not sure what to say. When it comes to the sickness, I am worried for other people. When it comes to the future money-wise, all I can say is it's not that bad not having money, just by the way. I think I'm in a fortunate position where I'm used to that. I think there's a lot of people are going to drop off a very high ledge, and it's going to be difficult. Even while they've got a lot more money than me, it's going to be more difficult for them than it is for me. And I wish I could just get that through to them. It's not about what you've got and what you own and whatever. It's being happy with yourself, being happy with your family, being able to see a light in the future, and I do.
Great, thanks, Grant. Tsela, your thoughts?
Just a quick closure. Thank you for the conversation, guys. I really don't have too much to add, except to say that thank you for that comment about reality as well, because now I'm also just pondering on the real, again, being more present. There is sort of a countdown for some of us. I mean, month end is around the corner and the landlord will come knocking. So there are specific questions to be answered. But again, it's just a matter of absorbing and pausing and saying, okay, what is the best way forward? Because now the countdown has come a little bit closer. That's all that I kind of have to add. But thank you for the conversation, everyone.
Great, thanks, Steve.
I really enjoyed one of Grant's comments, something around resilience, I think, and not being oversensitive, but building resilience. That young man that Lee mentioned, who did that marathon in his own home, I've known him since he was about 6 or 7, and I saw that story in the last day or so on Facebook, and I was equally so proud of him. But what really made me proud was I'd seen the build of resilience over his life. He'd had a very difficult life through school, and had known what it was like to be the underdog. And when I saw that, and his connection, his empathy with those who were really battling, I could tell some of where it had come from through his life. And I think that just speaks to me of the building of resilience over time, and that one is able to draw from history, from our own personal histories, and even from other people's histories, and go, you know, we've got through things before. And I think that's, for me, the hope side. is even though the realities may be difficult and they may be harsh, we are still powerful enough to choose our responses to them. And part of that choice is to remember that we've been through this rapid before, to take Trevor's imagery, which I've really enjoyed. And so that really spoke to me as well when I saw that story of what he'd done for his staff. Thanks.
All right, thanks, Steve. Cecile.
There's not much I want to add, except for all of you remember it's Sunday, so Sunday is not supposed to be a work day, so spend your Sunday with your families. Make it a different day than any of the other days.
Thanks, Cecile. Trevor, final words from you?
I don't know. I didn't get that rule book that said Sunday is not supposed to be a work day. Not in my household anyway, because my wife puts me to work in the garden every day. So what am I getting out of this? I just think this is phenomenal that I see a block of 9 characters here, all sharing different inputs, but similar traits of recognizing the power of mindset and the foundation that you need to have when crisis hits. And that I'm reading that we all recognize that crisis hits, that we all recognize that we don't have elegant sufficiency we're not Bill Gates or Elon Musk's or that sort of ilk. And I'm hearing that people recognize that other people don't have anything. So it's very interesting for me what it is we're going to draw out of this. I mean, this for us was a 21-day exercise, and then we were going to try and make an assessment. We're now at 23 days and moving to 35 days. But I think what we should be doing to be of material benefit to all of us is to start making an assessment of what have we learned here? What have we learned from this foundation? What are we starting to learn from each other? What can we start building upon here? Because I think there's just a super strength in what we've got, and we've only just started to scratch the little surface of whatever this experiment is that we're doing. So I'd love us to go on to the discussion, if everyone would agree, as to, hey, this is what I got out of this over the 21 days or 23 days. This is what the value that I think, and this is perhaps how we should grow it because it multiplies the value. I'm going to keep coming back to these simple little things that I use, the metaphors, analogies, and all that sort of thing. But I'm very much about this collective input. Are we just wasting our time? Have we thrown away 21 days times 35 minutes, X amount of hours? Or are we going to use that as a foundation to do something even greater and even bigger? So I'm with Herman in that sort of direction. I'm not exactly with him in the social direction he wants to go. I've got another direction. But that input, we might be able to help each other. So I know that was long, but don't ask me questions.
Thanks, Jeff. Lee, a final word from you, and then I think we will end off for today.
Well, I want to pick up on what Trevor is saying about what have we learned. I would like to, so I had another thought in my idea, in my head, and because we were starting to pick up on this idea of resilience and still storytelling. And so I'm a bit conflicted now because I would like, because I know Steve hasn't told his story, Grant hasn't told his story, and I don't want to lose the momentum. So Trevor, if you don't mind, can we just park that? So I'm going to ask you to have it like a meta question at the back of your head over the next 3 or 4 days to start mulling over what is the value that you're getting out of these sessions? What is it that you're gaining, and how can we help others to benefit in the same way? But Steve, I sort of landed this on Cecile, and I'm now looking at you. How willing would you be to share your story tomorrow? It doesn't have to come with pictures. It just to be yourself, but just to share. And I think I'm thinking about it in the terms of resilience, and you know, you were picking up on what Henry's experience of running up and down and having gone through rapids in your own life. And that's why I thought about you, and maybe there's some things that we could learn from your story, and we'd appreciate hearing from you. That's okay? Good. Okay, so that's tomorrow. Steve's going to share his story. We're going to focus a little bit more on resilience. Grant, you know, you've been around long enough now that you know that your turn's going to come. And so, yeah, thank you, everyone. We'll see you. Oh, he's disappeared. Good one. We'll see you tomorrow.
Right, thanks everybody. Fantastic Sunday, and we'll see you in the morning. Cheers, everyone. Bye.